Have you ever wondered why some people achieve extraordinary success while others spend their entire lives wondering, what if? The answer isn't talent. It isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. More often than not, the difference comes down to one simple thing: the willingness to take risks. Every breakthrough you've ever admired, every successful entrepreneur, athlete, artist, or leader had one thing in common. They were willing to step into uncertainty before they knew the outcome. Because nothing meaningful is ever built inside your comfort zone. The biggest rewards in life are almost always hiding behind the biggest fears. Yet most people spend their lives avoiding risk. They choose the safe job instead of the dream. They stay in the comfortable relationship instead of pursuing happiness. They silence their ideas before the world ever gets a chance to hear them. Not because they lack potential, but because they're afraid of failing. One of the greatest leaders in history, Nelson Mandela, once said, "There is no passion to be found playing small, settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Think about those words for a second. How many people settle? How many wake up every morning living a life they never truly wanted? Not because they couldn't do more, but because somewhere along the way, they convinced themselves that good enough was enough. From the time we're children, we're taught to be careful. Play it safe. Don't take too many chances. As we grow older, the advice becomes even louder. Choose a secure career. Always have a backup plan. Don't dream too big. Make sure you have something to fall back on. It sounds responsible. It sounds practical. But have you ever stopped to question that advice? Why is everyone preparing you for failure before you've even tried to succeed? Why are we so focused on protecting ourselves from falling that we forget how to move forward? I've never fully understood the idea of building a life around something to fall back on, because if I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall backward. I want to fall forward. At least when you fall forward, you're still making progress. You're still discovering something. You're still getting closer to where you're meant to be. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the price of admission. Every mistake teaches you something. Every setback reveals a weakness. Every rejection points you toward a better opportunity. The only people who never fail are the people who never try. And that's the greatest tragedy of all. Because life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards action. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Did anyone master it without falling? Of course not. Every scraped knee, every wobble, every crash was simply part of learning balance. Life works exactly the same way. The people you admire today weren't born fearless. They became fearless because they survived the things they once feared. Confidence isn't something you're given. Confidence is earned. It's built one uncomfortable decision at a time, one difficult conversation, one failed attempt, one courageous step. That's why consistency matters more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some mornings you'll wake up inspired. Other mornings, you'll question everything. If your success depends on feeling motivated every day, you'll quit the moment life becomes difficult. But consistency keeps moving even when excitement disappears. It keeps showing up after rejection. It keeps working after failure. It keeps believing after disappointment. Because winners understand something most people never do. Success doesn't belong to the smartest person in the room. It belongs to the person who refuses to stop. Every day you delay your dream, someone else is taking the opportunity you were afraid to chase. Every excuse costs you something. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But over time, those small moments of hesitation become years of regret. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is comfort, everything you've ever known, everything that's familiar, everything that's predictable. In front of you is uncertainty, growth, opportunity, a completely different future. Most people spend their entire lives staring over the edge, wondering what would happen if they jumped. Very few actually do. And those who jump discover they were capable of flying all along. So ask yourself one question. What would you attempt today if fear wasn't making the decision for you? Because your future isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for action. And the moment you stop fearing failure is the moment your real life finally begins. Most people believe success belongs to the lucky. They believe the winners were born different, that they had better connections, better opportunities, better timing. But that's rarely true. What separates extraordinary people from ordinary people isn't intelligence. It's courage. The courage to take a chance when everyone else chooses safety. The courage to keep moving after everyone else gives up. Think about this. There was once a simple challenge that confused thousands of intelligent people. 9 dots, 1 pencil, 5 straight lines. The goal seemed impossible. Most people failed because they accepted invisible limits that didn't actually exist. The solution required one simple idea. Go beyond the boundaries you assumed were there. That's exactly how life works. The biggest obstacle isn't reality. It's the box you've built inside your own mind. The moment you stop believing that every problem has only one solution, you become dangerous. Innovation begins where comfort ends. Every invention, every business, every life-changing discovery started with someone willing to ask, what if everyone else is wrong? Don't be afraid to think differently. Don't be afraid to question traditions. Don't be afraid to challenge expectations. And most importantly, don't be afraid to fail spectacularly. Because the people who change the world rarely play it safe. Dream bigger than your circumstances. Dream beyond your current abilities. Dream beyond what other people think is realistic. But remember this. A dream without action is nothing more than a pleasant fantasy. Dreams alone don't change lives. Goals do. Goals give your dreams a destination. Goals give your effort direction. Goals transform hope into progress. Every successful person you've ever admired had moments of doubt. The difference is, they kept moving anyway. One of baseball's greatest legends, Reggie Jackson, struck out more than anyone else in the history of the game. Thousands of failures. Thousands of missed opportunities. Thousands of moments that could have convinced him to quit. Yet today, almost nobody remembers the strikeouts. They remember the home runs, because success has an incredible way of erasing yesterday's failures. The crowd doesn't celebrate how many times you fell. They celebrate the fact that you stood back up. The same principle applies to every area of life. Thomas Edison spent years chasing an idea that refused to work. Experiment after experiment failed. Another design, another disappointment, another setback. Most people would have stopped after 10 failures. Some might have survived 50. Very few would continue after hundreds. Yet Edison kept going. When people asked him about his failures, he didn't see them as wasted effort. He saw them as lessons. Each failed experiment eliminated another wrong answer. Each mistake brought him one step closer to the right one. Eventually, one experiment changed history. The light bulb wasn't created because someone got lucky. It was created because someone refused to quit. Think about that. If Edison had stopped just one experiment too early, the world would have been different. How many people quit one step before their breakthrough? How many businesses fail because the owner gives up too soon? How many athletes retire before reaching their full potential? How many artists abandon their dreams because success didn't arrive quickly enough? You'll never know how close you are unless you keep going. Failure doesn't tell you to stop. Failure asks one question. How badly do you really want this? every obstacle is a test. Every rejection measures your commitment. Every setback asks whether your dream is stronger than your excuses. The people who succeed aren't always the most gifted. They're simply the ones who answered, "I'm not finished yet." So the next time life knocks you down, don't waste your energy asking, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What is this trying to teach me?" Because every difficult season carries a lesson. Every painful experience develops strength. Every failure builds resilience. And resilience is the foundation of greatness. Success isn't about avoiding failure. Success is learning how to fail so well. That failure eventually runs out of ways to stop you. So keep moving. Keep learning. Keep improving. Keep showing up. Because every step forward, even the painful ones, are taking you somewhere extraordinary. And one day, someone will look at your success and call you lucky. They'll never see the countless failures that built the person you became. They'll only see the victory, not the price you paid to earn it. Sooner or later, life is going to test you, not with an easy decision, not with a comfortable opportunity, but with a moment that forces you to choose between fear and faith. And here's the truth no one tells you. You will fail. Not once. Not twice. Many times. You'll lose opportunities you thought were guaranteed. You'll be rejected by people you believed would support you. You'll make mistakes that keep you awake at night. You'll embarrass yourself. You'll question whether you're good enough. You'll wonder if you're chasing the wrong dream. And in those moments, most people quit. Not because they aren't capable, but because they mistake failure for a final answer. Failure isn't the end. It's feedback. It's life pointing out where you need to grow. Think about every champion you've ever admired, every successful entrepreneur, every Olympic athlete, every actor, every musician, every billionaire. Every one of them has a story filled with rejection. What you see today is the highlight reel. What you don't see are the years they spent hearing the word no. The auditions they lost, the investors who laughed, the businesses that collapsed, the nights they wondered if it was worth continuing. Success hides those chapters, but those chapters are what created the success. Early in any meaningful journey, you often feel invisible. You work harder than everyone around you. You sacrifice weekends. You sacrifice comfort. You sacrifice certainty. Yet it feels like nobody notices. That's where most dreams die. Not because they weren't possible, but because the dreamer became impatient. Imagine planting a tree. Would you dig it up every week just to see if it's growing? Of course not. Growth happens beneath the surface long before anyone notices it. The same is true for your life. Every disciplined morning, every late night, every difficult workout, every book you finish, every skill you practice is building roots. Roots that no one applauds. Roots that no one posts on social media. Roots that prepare you for storms you'll eventually face. People celebrate the fruit. They ignore the roots. But without strong roots, nothing survives. There will be days when you feel like you're doing everything right, yet nothing seems to change. Those are the days that matter most, because character isn't built when life is easy. Character is built when quitting feels reasonable, and you choose to continue anyway. Persistence is a decision, not an emotion. You don't wake up every morning overflowing with confidence. Sometimes you wake up tired, discouraged, frustrated, questioning everything. But winners have learned something powerful. Feelings are temporary. Purpose is permanent. If you only move when you feel motivated, you'll spend most of your life standing still. Discipline carries you when motivation disappears. There is an old saying, the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. And that's true because struggle changes you. The version of yourself that begins the journey is never the same person who reaches the destination. Pain teaches lessons comfort never could. Pressure creates strength. Responsibility creates maturity. Failure creates wisdom. Without challenges, there is no transformation. Think about a blacksmith forging steel. The metal isn't shaped by kindness, it's shaped by fire. Hammer after hammer, strike after strike, heat after heat. Only then does ordinary metal become something unbreakable. Life does the same thing to us. Every hardship is shaping you. Every disappointment is strengthening you. Every obstacle is preparing you for responsibilities you couldn't carry before. So stop asking, why is this happening to me? Instead ask, what is this preparing me for? That single question changes everything, because suddenly, failure isn't punishment, it's preparation. Rejection isn't personal, it's redirection. Delay isn't denial, it's development. Sometimes the opportunity you're praying for requires becoming a stronger person first, because success without character usually becomes self-destruction. The world doesn't simply reward talent. It rewards people who become capable of handling success. That's why your current struggles matter. They're building someone your future requires. So don't run from difficult seasons. Walk through them. Grow through them. Learn from them. Because one day, you'll look back at the hardest chapter of your life and realize it was the chapter that changed everything. And when that day comes, you'll finally understand why you had to keep moving forward, even when you couldn't see the finish line. Now let me ask you a question. What scares you more? Failing, or reaching the end of your life wondering what could have been? Most people believe failure is life's greatest tragedy. It isn't. The real tragedy is untapped potential. It's carrying greatness inside you and never giving it permission to exist. Imagine, just for a moment, that you're much older. Your journey is almost over. You look back on your life hoping to feel peace. But instead, the room begins to fill. Not with family, not with friends, but with something far more unsettling. The dreams you never pursued, the ideas you never acted on, the books you never wrote, the businesses you never started, the conversations you were too afraid to have, the risks you convinced yourself to avoid. One by one, they stand around you like silent ghosts, not because they hate you, but because they were created through you and never given the chance to live. Imagine hearing them whisper, "We were given to you for a reason. We trusted you to bring us into the world, but you chose comfort over courage. Now, we disappear with you." That's a painful thought, because every person is born carrying something unique, a gift, a talent, an idea, a purpose, something the world has never seen before. And if you refuse to use it, no one else can. The world loses something it can never replace. Don't underestimate the impact of your life. One decision can change a family. One invention can change an industry. One act of kindness can change someone's future. One courageous step can create a legacy that outlives you. History is filled with ordinary people who made extraordinary decisions, not because they knew they would succeed, but because they refused to let fear make the choice. Too many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect amount of money, the perfect amount of confidence. But perfection never arrives. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you'll spend your entire life waiting. Growth begins the moment preparation ends. You don't become brave before taking action. You become brave because you take action. Every meaningful achievement begins with uncertainty. The entrepreneur doesn't know if the business will survive. The author doesn't know if anyone will read the book. The athlete doesn't know if they'll win. The artist doesn't know if people will understand their work. Yet they begin anyway. That's courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more than fear. And here's another truth. Your purpose isn't only about you. Someone you've never met may one day need the lesson you'll learn from today's struggle. Someone may find hope because you refuse to quit. Someone may build courage simply by watching you continue. Your life is influencing people, even when you don't realize it. That's why quitting is never a personal decision. It affects everyone your future success could have inspired. Think about every mentor you've ever admired, every teacher, every coach, every speaker, every leader. What if they had quit before meeting you? Your life would be different. Now ask yourself, whose life might change because you refuse to give up? The answer is, you may never know, and that's okay. Because purpose isn't measured by applause, it's measured by impact. Sometimes the biggest difference you'll ever make will happen quietly, behind the scenes, without recognition, without headlines, without trophies. But that doesn't make it any less meaningful. The strongest trees don't grow overnight. Neither do extraordinary lives. Both require seasons of struggle. Seasons where nothing seems to happen. Seasons where growth is invisible. Seasons where faith matters more than results. Keep growing anyway. Keep believing anyway. Keep building anyway. Because one day, the life you're creating in silence will become impossible to ignore. Don't allow fear to write the ending of your story. Don't let doubt become louder than your purpose. Don't let comfort steal the future you were meant to create. Instead, take the chance, make the call, start the business, write the first page, launch the project, apply for the opportunity, speak your truth, take the first step. Because action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates transformation. And transformation creates the life you've been searching for all along. So don't ask, what if I fail? Ask a better question. What if I succeed? That single question has the power to change everything. As you continue through life, you'll eventually realize something that school rarely teaches. Life is not a straight line. It's full of unexpected turns, closed doors, wrong decisions, missed opportunities, moments that make absolutely no sense while you're living them. But years later, you often discover those very moments were quietly leading you exactly where you were meant to be. Sometimes, your greatest setback becomes the beginning of your greatest success. Many people spend years chasing a path they think they're supposed to follow, a career chosen to impress others, a dream borrowed from someone else's expectations, a life that looks successful from the outside, but feels empty on the inside. And eventually, reality catches up. You realize you're climbing the wrong mountain. That realization isn't failure, it's freedom. Because every wrong turn teaches you something about the right direction. There will be seasons when nothing goes according to plan. You'll work hard and still lose. You'll pray and still wait. You'll give everything you have and still hear no. Those moments are painful, but they're also necessary. Because life has a strange way of removing what no longer belongs. So, it can make room for what truly does. Don't be afraid when plans change. Sometimes, the life you imagined is far smaller than the life waiting for you. The greatest opportunities often arrive disguised as disappointments. Think about all the people who changed the world. Very few started where they finished. Some failed in school, some lost jobs. Some were rejected dozens of times. Some were told they weren't talented enough. Some had absolutely no idea where life was taking them. Yet they kept moving, step by step, lesson by lesson, failure by failure, until one ordinary day, everything changed. Not because they suddenly became more talented, but because they refused to stop becoming better. That's the secret most people overlook. Success isn't one giant breakthrough. It's thousands of small decisions made consistently over time. Choosing discipline when comfort calls. Choosing courage when fear whispers. Choosing growth when quitting feels easier. Those choices seem insignificant in the moment, but years later, they become the story everyone admires. You don't need to have every answer to today. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need certainty. You simply need the courage to take the next step, because clarity doesn't come before action. Clarity comes because of action. Every step reveals the next. Every lesson unlocks another opportunity. Every challenge introduces a stronger version of yourself. Never underestimate what one decision can do. One conversation, one application, one phone call, one habit, one book, one opportunity accepted instead of avoided. One brave moment can redirect an entire lifetime. And remember this: your gifts were never meant to stay hidden. Every one of us has something unique to offer. Some people lead, some create, some heal, some teach, some inspire, some build, some protect, some serve. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the person only you can become. Stop comparing your journey to everyone around you. Comparison steals joy. Comparison steals confidence. Comparison blinds you to your own progress. Run your own race. Trust your own timing. Build your own legacy. Because the finish line isn't about beating someone else. It's about becoming the person you were capable of becoming. One day, years from now, you'll look back at this chapter. You'll remember the uncertainty, the fear, the failures, the sleepless nights, the moments you almost gave up. And you'll smile. Not because it was easy, but because you kept going. You'll realize that every setback strengthened you. Every rejection redirected you. Every obstacle prepared you. Every failure refined you. Nothing was wasted. It was all building the person standing there today. So when life knocks you down, don't fall backward into excuses. Don't fall sideways into regret. Fall forward. Learn something. Grow stronger. Stand back up. Take another step. Then another. And another. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is still moving you toward the life you were created to live. The future belongs to those who refuse to let fear make their decisions. It belongs to those who choose action over excuses. Purpose over comfort. Faith over certainty. Growth over perfection. So as you leave today, remember this one message above all else. Dream boldly. Work relentlessly. Embrace failure. Keep learning. Keep believing. Keep moving. And whenever life tries to knock you down, fall forward. Because sometimes, the direction of your fall determines the direction of your future. Thank you.